Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and yeah, this will be round one of my AFLW footy tips. Let's get straight into it. Um, I probably should say now that I'm not doing any big calls for this series, and I'm just doing tips, see how many I get right, see how many I get overall. I don't really want to do big calls for this series. I've gone through and pre-tipped them already, but I'll just go through and, show you what I've tipped and explain why. So round one, game one on the Thursday. I'm not sure if I can watch this one. I'm not too sure. I may watch it though. Collingwood versus Carlton, always big game one. These two teams have a good rivalry. I've tipped Collingwood. I've tipped them by 16. That's just a bit random, but I've just tipped Collingwood just because I think they have a better list. They did a lot better than them last year. Obviously, you can see they finished 6th. Carlton finished 8th. They did quite a lot better than them last year, the Pies. We've got some good players still, even though we did lose some good players. I know we lost Sophie Alexander to the Bombers. I think we lost OD to Port Adelaide. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we can win. I've tipped them. Then game two, definitely. I probably should say that I've probably gonna watch like 1 or 2 games around for AFLW, maybe one if lucky. But it's good to see that all the teams are now in. This is the grand final rematch, Adelaide taking on Melbourne. I've tipped Adelaide just because, well, they got the better of them last year, and also because it's at home. I hear they play quite well at Norwood, and even though they don't have Aaron Phillips, I'm sure they'll still have good enough players to get through. And I know Melbourne lost some forwards to the new teams. And I don't know if they're going to be able to score as well. Next we have North Melbourne versus Gold Coast, and it's down at Bloodstone. North are going to win this easily. Like, Gold Coast, don't get me wrong, they're probably going to be better this year than what they were last year. I mean, yeah, they came 10th, they were pretty good, but I reckon they'll do even better this year. The Gold Coast Suns, I reckon they'll finish around 9th mark, maybe. But North Melbourne, I reckon they're going to be one of my tips for the Premiership. They did lose a couple of players, but North Melbourne, for me, they're definitely up there for my tip for the Premiership. That's why I've tipped them. And then we've got West Coast at home taking on Port Adelaide, the new team. I don't really know much with Port Adelaide. They've got a decent squad. They are favourites for this game. I've tipped them just because I reckon Aaron Phillips will be too much for West Coast. West Coast have a whole bunch of players that have left and retired, and they've just been... No, I don't think they've ever played good, really. They only won 1 game last season. I don't see where their first win's going to be in the first good 3 rounds. I reckon Port will win this quite easily. Next we've got Sydney taking on St Kilda. I'm not really too sure how the Swans are going to go here in their first game, but in my opinion, I think Sydney and Essendon are probably the best teams in the AFLW. But Sydney is definitely the best. I've tipped them over the Saints just because their list looks a little bit better than the Saints. That's pretty much why I've tipped them. Next we've got Essendon taking on Hawthorn. I did say that Essendon are up there. I reckon they're going to finish higher than Hawthorn, but I reckon Hawthorn are just going to win this game. It's going to be a good one though. I'm probably thinking about watching this one and the Collingwood one. They're probably like the only two though. Maybe Adelaide, Melbourne, maybe. And then we've got Western Bulldogs taking on the Giants. Now, I'm a big fan of what the Giants are going to do this year with their new coach, but I'm not quite too sold on them yet. I haven't really seen them play. I think the Giants will be decent, but not great. And I've tipped the Dogs mainly because it's at Icon Park. I mean, their players always shine at that ground. They should win quite comfortably. And then I got Brisbane taking on the Dockers at the Gabba. Brisbane are just amazing up there. I mean, don't get me wrong, Freo, they're a very, very good side. But I just think that Brisbane are just going to be too good here and get the job done. And then, of course, we've got the big one, Geelong taking on Richmond at GMBA. This is going to be the hardest one of the round for me. In my opinion, this is the hardest one to tip. I've tipped Geelong just because it's at GMBA, but I know Richmond, lots of people are saying look out for them. They're going to rise this season. They definitely will. They're going to be very, very good, I reckon, Richmond. But I just tipped Geelong because of the home ground advantage, but I'm not too sure on that one. I think that one's probably the hardest one for me to tip. Otherwise, I'm pretty confident with every other team here. So yeah, of course, it did not take long to get through that. But yeah, that's my tips for AFL season round 1. Hopefully, we can get the job done over the baggers. I'll try my best to explain my best in round 2, explain what happened in round 1. I'll try and do my best as I can, especially seeing I haven't watched the games and probably won't watch the games. And, well, the games, I probably won't even watch the highlights back for the games. So I'll just have to try and explain the best as I possibly can. But yeah, hopefully we can beat the Blues round 1. And I'll see you guys in the next video.